Hi, this is Joe Father from the National Network of State Teachers of the Year. I'm honored to have Melissa Porfirio with me tonight. Melissa is a first grade teacher at Springfield's Crestview Elementary School in Fairfax, Virginia. She is the 2014 Virginia Teacher of the Year and was recently named a finalist for National Teacher of the Year. Melissa, congratulations and welcome to our program.
Oh, thank you so much, Joe. It's an honor to be here.
Man, what a roller coaster ride you've been on during your career. If you could, can you take us a little bit through from the journey whenever you first walked in that door as a classroom teacher up to this point where you're waiting to find out who's going to be named National Teacher of the Year?
Oh, my goodness. That is quite a time span. Because I am in my 9th year of teaching, so while it seems like yesterday, some days, it has been quite a journey. I was very fortunate to have 4 amazing internships with my graduate degree program, and one of the internships was my elementary semester, and I just happened to intern here at Crestwood in 2nd grade. And I had an amazing cooperating professional, and what was really special is my university supervisor through George Mason University, who I originally met as a parent through my program. My program was specifically for culturally, linguistically, and ability diverse children. And Kim came in as a parent of a child with special needs, and then she became my university supervisor and my colleague eventually at Crestwood. So when I was offered the position here, I couldn't pass it up knowing that I would have such a tremendous ally and great support. And gosh, that first year was, I definitely felt prepared to walk into the classroom, but then all of the things that I wasn't quite prepared for on that first year. I had a class with high needs that year, but we always have various needs, but
right.
Super special needs that year. And in fact, on the very first day of school, and I think I shared this the other day with the finalists, the other 3 finalists, I had simply asked a little guy in my class to pick up a pencil, and he just really didn't want to do that. And so he put his ruler up in the air and he broke it in front of me in half and yelled, "Never!" And that was not something that you get prepared for in graduate school. So since that first day, I have had an amazing ride with mostly students who are second language learners, but in some cases, they're learning 3 languages. And then I also have native English speakers, and I work in a Title I school. So we definitely have economically needy families or families with economic needs. So it's just an amazing community, though. It's a primarily walking school. We only have 1 bus, and I've been fortunate that because we are Title I, our class size stays relatively small. I think the most they've ever had is 22, and this year I'm fortunate to have 18. One year I didn't know how good I had it. In fact, I think it was my first year. I had 16 students, but it was, again, my first year, and you don't really have much to compare it to, but gosh, that was really nice with 16. So I have just had quite a ride here. I've gotten involved in almost any committee that you can think of, and I've had the many fortunate opportunities in working with a lot of our families. So not just working alongside the PTA. One year I actually was our PTA secretary, which was kind of funny. But I've worked on the International Night Committee, the Response to Intervention Committee, Science, Social Studies, all sorts of things here. And it's my home away from home. So lots of things since that first year.
Absolutely. How do you guys identify State Teachers of the Year in Virginia?
Well, initially it was through my county, and of course it could be a colleague that nominates you, a principal, a family member, a student. And in my case, I was actually nominated as first year. The title they use here is Outstanding First Year Teacher, and that was my principal that year. And I was just honored to be nominated. It was an incredible first year. I explained I had kids with a lot of needs, so you don't always feel like you are meeting everyone's needs. So it was such an honor that my principal saw that in me. But that one didn't work out. I mean, it was still an honor to be nominated, but when I say it didn't work out, it just means someone else was named that year. But later on, this year, well, actually it would be 2013, one of my parents whose son had actually gone on to second grade, she later told me she had wanted to do it the year he was in my class, but she just, with the timelines and things, didn't have the opportunity to do it. But she nominated me, and we worked really closely on his needs. And, she was just really, she was touched that, not that many teachers jump to medications, but she was really touched that I was so patient in, having her try everything, trying all different approaches together, really brainstorming and working on how we could help him do his best, but, still keeping it on the table that eventually if we didn't see progress, that we could consider, that she could consider talking with her family physician and seeing, if there was anything necessary to help support him and help him continue to grow as a learner. So eventually it turned out that he did receive a diagnosis of ADHD, and once he began taking the medicine, it was kind of like an overnight. I mean, he went from being below grade level in reading to seriously 2 weeks later, you would not have believed the progress. So, but she was really touched that we didn't jump on pushing her into anything, and so she nominated me. And then once you're selected by the Fairfax County panel, I believe they narrow it down to 6 finalists, and then we go to interview. And you interview in front of all of the cluster superintendents. And so it was nice, though. That interview in many ways prepared me for the big national interview, the giant table of many faces. So after that, and then the cluster superintendents have, seen me teach and things like that. So, but we did not have to submit a teaching video or anything like that at that level. And from there, Fairfax County selected me and surprised me. And once you're named as the county teacher in Virginia, then you can be submitted for the state. And the state has 8 regions. So we actually select a person from every region, and then the 8 of us had to interview in the state capital, Richmond. And following, that was kind of intense because you interview in the morning, and the banquet is that night.
Wow.
So they make that decision that day. Yes, it's pretty intense and amazing. And it's a huge surprise because it's always a wonderful surprise to be surprised in your classroom, especially when you're students around, and first graders just love it, and your colleagues. But this was a whole other excitement because you have that nervous energy of what you share in the interview, and then sometimes you kind of think about all the things you could have said that you didn't say. So all that nervous energy is still kind of there, and then you have this banquet where they surprise you. And I don't know, I left that interview feeling like I'm so excited. I shared exactly what I was passionate about, but wasn't quite sure that they were going to see it my way. And I was honestly shocked when my name was read. I remember my state superintendent beginning to say my name with the letter M, obviously. And I remember thinking, gosh, I just met these people today, and whose name starts with an M? And it literally took me a minute to really take it in that it was me.
That's awesome.
That's kind of the big process.
That's awesome. Now, who sits on the interview panel when you're there on that day with the banquet and everything?
So the Richmond panel had it was a lot it wasn't exactly similar to the national, but they had school board representation, middle school, high school, university representation, business partners in the community. I think there was a law firm and another corporation. So it was I think there were 12 people on the panel in total. Oh, and the 2013 Virginia Teacher of the Year, Kathy Galford, was the chair of the committee.
Wow, that's awesome. What was the response from your family, your colleagues, your students when they heard that first you'd been named State Teacher of the Year, and then recently when you were named a finalist for National Teacher?
Oh gosh, I have been so overwhelmed with so many compliments. The family members as well as my colleagues have all immediately, I mean, I've gotten a little better with sharing positives. I think that as teachers, we kind of like to not have the spotlight on us, and we're here for our students. So at first it was pretty uncomfortable having this focus on me, but I really want to share how positive my colleagues and my family members were. They just all kind of had similar comments, and that it's been a long time coming. We knew this would happen for you. Just finally someone seeing what we see. The emails, the phone calls, the handwritten cards, my former superintendent and my former cluster superintendent, like I'm receiving cards from all over the country just, thanking me for my dedication to my students and always putting them first. So it has been nothing but positive, and my students are adorable. I've even had students that are now in 11th grade and 7th grade, reaching out, trying to call or email or, reach me on Facebook or stop by the classroom, it's amazing that they would take the time to come back, to their elementary school. So that's been really exciting. And even like my second and third graders who are obviously still in the building, they come by. In fact, it was really cute. After I was awarded Fairfax County, my former student, she was in second grade at the time, so it had only been a year that I passed, and she came by and she said, "Miss Porfirio, I know why you won the award." And I said, and she's really animated, so I'm so excited to hear what she had to say. And I said, "Oh, okay, tell me." And she said, "Because I was in your class." So it was really adorable that, she was that confident that she was taking that credit. I loved it.
That's awesome.
And of course, my family.
Yeah, and then what's that like? What was that like for them? Were they at the banquet? Did they get to go to those things and be at your table? How did that all turn out?
They actually, unfortunately, did not get to make it to Richmond. My family is super small. I'm an only child, and so my mom and dad live in northeastern Pennsylvania, but they weren't able to make it to Richmond. But of course, they're completely, overwhelmed. My mom they're so funny with the internet. Like it's not their first thing to do to be on the computer. So it just cracks her up that you can Google my name and I'm there. So yeah, they're really, really excited. And even people from high school in Pennsylvania, my teachers and former classmates are like accidentally coming across it. And I think it's a little surprise for some because I wasn't one of those. It's amazing now because I'm so passionate and I totally feel like I've found I am definitely meant to be in a classroom, and especially with my first graders, but teaching wasn't originally on my radar. So when people find out that I'm a teacher, it's kind of surprising for them. So it's really nice to be able to share everything that's been going on with my career.
Well, and I was going to ask you a little bit, too. We talked a little bit a couple of weeks ago offline, and you do have a lot of changes going on in your life right now with, the Teacher of the Year and just being recently interviewed as a finalist for National Teacher, and I believe you're still in the classroom. What's that like to try to juggle just all the responsibilities that come with being Teacher of the Year, and there are a lot of those, and with the everyday tasks that comes along with being a classroom teacher, and we know there are a myriad of those. So what's that like for you right now as you're trying to learn how to juggle all that?
Ooh, it's an everyday, change it up kind of experience. I'm going to be honest, it's really tough to feel like I'm doing my best with the kids in the classroom. I have had tremendous support at my school in getting a very regular, what I like to call guest teacher. You may know that as a substitute teacher, but I like to call them guest teachers. So Mrs. Gulak, who was also nominated as a Teacher of the Year for my county in Fairfax prior to her retirement, she's amazing. And so I honestly have relaxed so much more since she's come into my world, because I know that the kids, while they're not getting consistency necessarily with seeing me, they're definitely having consistencies between the two of us. But it is, there are phone calls, there are hundreds of emails. I've never received so many emails, and speaking obligations that come up, and you might hear from your union, you might hear from your county, you might hear out of state. Just last night I had a teacher email me that she was reading about the information and she saw that I had organized and initiated the first international night at my school, and her school is starting to organize. And, right away I was like, well, we can Skype if you want to. And she wasn't able to Skype, but we've been communicating by email. Like, just the things that are coming up, I've kind of forgotten what sleep is, but I've sort of always been like that in a sense. So I have to make sure that I continue to exercise just so my energy level stays up, and I really can make sure that when I am here with the kiddos, or my first grade friends, that, they're still getting a very positive teacher that's helping them do their best. But there's a lot going on. My county hasn't named the new Fairfax County Teacher of the Year. She's coming up. So I'm still doing county things and state things, and now, we've had to decide additional things with national. So I blinked my eyes, and from October to February just went. So the time is flying, and it's intense, but the amount of professional development I am getting just with, speaking to colleagues and public speaking and learning from others, like especially from.
Well, and I want to ask you a little bit about that too, because you mentioned early on your rookie year that graduate school can only prepare you for so much for that. You're going to learn from the experience of being in the classroom, and you can study, for years to prep for that. But there's nothing like walking in that door the first time and seeing those faces looking at you and knowing that you're supposed to be in charge, and you having to, figure out how to just run and orchestrate a classroom. I assume for you, the Teacher of the Year experience has been a little bit like that as well, that the learning curve sometimes is straight up. I mean, I don't know about you. I didn't have a lot of experience about all of a sudden going out and speaking at all kinds of conferences. You're expected to have a teacher voice now and a platform, and just being able to learn how to navigate through a lot of different social environments and things like that. So how prepared do you think you were for that, and what are you doing to just kind of keep growing as a professional?
Gosh, I think because I've always sort of jumped into any opportunity to build my school community and work on a lot of committees here, I've naturally been in a position to kind of speak at things just within my school. But going out to the degree that I've been going out, I think initially I got invited to our superintendent's portrait of a graduate committee, and I guess I envisioned like 10 people sitting around the table. And then when I arrived, it was 70 plus, and it was just a huge room. And so, yeah, these opportunities are beyond my, expectations or what I could have ever imagined. But what's awesome about Virginia, our 2009 Teacher of the Year, Stephanie Doyle, has started the Virginia Teacher of the Year Network. And so as soon as I became a regional teacher, I sort of felt like I had an additional family. Like, Stephanie has been amazing in organizing us, and we just had a continuing contact. We had a celebration dinner and then a continuing contact meeting. They're actually the prior Virginia Teachers of the Year are writing a book called Teaching is Tough, and they've asked me to write the foreword. So I've been networking a lot with my Virginia community, but now since attending the National State Teachers of the Year conference in Arizona, it's a whole other level because we have a Facebook group now, and just the amount of things I'm learning, social media wise, and the literature I'm picking up from others. I just having those contacts has opened the learning curve has been huge, and I can't tell you how much I've already learned from all of the other teachers. So we also, I think every organization I've come into contact with has given me the Teacher of the Year handbook, and so I have about 5 copies. I'm not joking, so if anyone needs an extra copy, I'm happy to share. But just reading that, I mean, I will say the biggest thing that I had to come to terms with and to help myself grow was that it's really not all about one person. You're not, yes, you're named the Teacher of the Year, but obviously you're not the best teacher. It would be impossible to say who the best teacher is, and we all have our strengths, and hopefully we help each other where where I'm, where my areas of growth, I know where other people's strengths. So in reading that book, and I think when I first became a regional teacher and then was named Virginia, just that awareness that, nobody expects you to think that you're the best teacher. Nobody expects you to, and that wouldn't be my attitude anyways, but that we truly are advocates for our profession, for the, we're the voice of teachers. But then I also think, I'm an advocate for my students. So once I remember that it's all about my students and all about my exciting, wonderful, valuable profession, that helps me kind of come to terms with, okay, this attention I can handle. But that was a big thing for me.
I really love the fact that to hear that you have a Virginia State Teacher of the Year that understood the value of providing a collaborative network to support other Teachers of the Year in your own state, and that you're running across that in more and more places, that teachers are standing up and they're starting to work with one another, and that teacher voice is starting to become a really big thing. And there are going to be a lot of teachers around the country, I think, that are going to go through the similar experiences that you are, trying to figure out what their platform is, how do they get it out, what they should share. And, I love just hearing from you that it's about the kids and it's about, your quest as a classroom teacher to kind of unlock those mysteries there for them every day. So that's an exciting piece. Now, one of the things that you kind of brought up on there also as well, that you had been to Arizona and you had a chance to meet with some other Teachers of the Year. And for our audience that is not familiar with this, every year the new class of Teachers of the Year get brought in together and they get to meet their classmates. What was that experience like for you?
Oh my gosh. Initially, just meeting everyone, it is impossible not to feel like, what am I doing here? These are incredible, amazing, beyond talented professionals. And every person I met, I had to say, well, how is it that you're not a finalist? It is amazing the incredible talent that we have across the nation, and just such a positive group. I mean, I was nervous, but I just get like that with new social situations anyways, but so many teachers put me at ease right away, and we were just truly there to celebrate each other and to celebrate the profession. And it's awesome to know that we can be, like a giant teaching family. And we just had an amazing experience. And I think we were exceptionally lucky in that we met a lot of the former National Teachers of the Year. So I loved having our homerooms where we would go after the day and kind of debrief with a smaller group. And that I think a lot of us felt like that was such a powerful, important part of the day. Just hearing each other's stories, and you learn so much about, what brought us to education and our specific passion points that, of course, we're all here to help our students learn and grow and become, I always say as teachers, we're change agents and we change the world, but we're really creating more change agents that are going to go out and make the world even better than the way they inherited it. So just getting to have that smaller group in our homerooms to really go deeper with the other State Teachers of the Year was awesome. And then, like I said, having the national teachers to kind of talk about the process with and just, again, make connections with on Facebook and Twitter, that is all new for me. So it was just an amazing experience, and there's no place to go but us. We just grow together as a team now. So
that's a great way to look at it. I really like that. You've been invited as a Teacher of the Year to start participating in a multitude of different high-level discussions surrounding education reform. How do you think your point of view has been viewed in those circles? Do you think it's been really received well, or do people still struggle with you being a teacher, wanting to listen to your voice? What's that been like?
I think once I started I always wholeheartedly was in belief of my kind of, my true passion area. But I was nervous about how others would receive it. So kind of my catchphrase, I know We talked about our elevator speech. How do you actually truly get your platform out in those 30 seconds? But my catchphrase has been, and I think it probably has a better word than catchphrase, but my mini platform is I do not teach standards. I teach children. And I think in the age that we are in with the data and the rigor and the standards and Common Core versus not Common Core, because Virginia has not adopted the Common Core, but I'm learning so much about the Common Core. I think that initially I was really nervous coming out with that as my platform, but the more that I share it and the more that I get to talk to other educators and other groups of people, I do see it being well received. And, of course I don't say, well, we don't teach any standards, and that's not at all important. And of course I expect to be held accountable for helping my students learn. And I love professional development, so please come in and observe me and help me grow. But I really have stayed true to my message of those relationships and that no significant learning takes place without a significant relationship, which is not my quote, that is James Comer's, so I need to make sure that's out there. But, it's been so, I have to find the word, just empowering, and there's another word and I'm just not finding it, but being able to share that and really make sure that I'm focusing on what I think is important in education with relationships and how it's really not all about the standards. Yes, that's the basis for I kind of use like a graphic of what we teach is kind of in the middle, and it's a smaller circle, and, of course it's our standards, but they're constantly evolving. I mean, in the 9 years that I've been teaching, my standards definitely don't look the same as they did that first year of first grade. And then kind of around that, what is the how we teach, and I fundamentally believe that the how we teach is just as important as the what we teach, because that social curriculum piece is what helps you get deeper into the academic curriculum. So, kind of things like Kagan structures and responsive classroom, which really has affected me as a teacher. That's been some amazing professional development. That's all kind of, that there again, with brain research changing, those things evolve too. But then around that what and how is the giant all-encompassing circle of the why we teach. And the only thing that should change about our passion of why we teach is that it gets even deeper. So the fact that I've been able to share that and people have received it well, I'm completely pumped and excited. So.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners that maybe we didn't cover tonight?
Oh, gosh. And I think I've probably said this millions of times, but there is no other profession on the planet that is not touched by the teaching profession. And I am just so honored and grateful for finding this passion and being a part of the most amazing profession on the planet. And I just hope that, I know all educators believe that, but sometimes, we have rough days and things come up and policies change, but just always believing that we are vital and we do make the world a better place, and we help our students do that. And so teachers rock. That's my message. The closing message.
Well, that is a great one to close on. Our guest tonight was Melissa Porfirio. Melissa is the 2014 Virginia Teacher of the Year and a finalist for National Teacher of the Year. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us tonight, and best wishes on all you're doing and a great year. I'd like to thank Sarah for making all the technology work tonight, and this has been Joe Fothery from the National Network of State Teachers of the Year. Check us out on the web at www.nnstoy.org. Thanks. Have a great night.